What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Collective MMA channel for episode 17 of Fight IQ. Today, we're going to be breaking down PFL Tampa going down this Saturday. And without any further ado, let's jump right on into it. In our first fight of the night, we have Eoin Sheridan versus James Vake. We have Sheridan coming in at minus 800 and Vake at plus 550. On the Sheridan side, good striker, some solid kicks. He's got long straights, very big for the weight class, good combos, some decent power. He does well at distance striking. He's got pretty good takedowns and takedown defense, got some good clinch knees, decent grappling and reversals. And then on the Vake side, decent striker, mainly boxing focused attack, throws teep kicks, and he's not the most defensively sound. Not going to waste too much time on this one. I think Sheridan gets one done by knockout or decision. Sheridan's going to be the much cleaner striker with more tools in his bag. He's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage and will have the ability to take this fight to the mat if he wants. Sheridan should make this one look relatively easy. Next up, we have Gino Van Steenis versus Robert Watley. Van Steenis minus 180 and Watley plus 157. On the Van Steenis side, pretty good striker, puts punches and kicks together. He works his jab, mixes up the targets, good leg kicks, counter as well, good power. Sometimes he can be a bit on the low volume side. And then with Watley, he's a decent striker, leg kicks. He also is a bit low volume, not the most defensively sound. He's got decent takedowns, opportunistic back takes, some decent grappling. He can be held against the cage. I like Van Steenis in this one by knockout. I think he's going to have a noticeable power advantage and more weapons on the feet. I think he can have success with his kickboxing attack and end up finding a finish this one. Watley is no slouch, and Van Steenis, hasn't fought the best competition. But, I just think the power is going to be too much, and he's just going to have a lot more success on the feet, and Watley's going to have to try to look to get this fight to the mat. And I think Van Steenis is going to be athletic enough to shut that attack down. And yeah, I think he pulls this one out. Next up, we have Natan Schulte versus Makkasharip Zaynukov. Zaynukov is indeed the brother of the one and only John Pork. And we have Schulte at plus 149 and Zaynukov at minus 170. On the Schulte side, he's a decent striker, primarily a grappler. He's mainly striking to set up his takedowns. He's uncomfortable at distance striking. He does have pretty good wrestling with a variety of takedowns, mat returns, that kind of thing. He's got some good grappling. He will jump the ghillie, and he likes the cage push. He likes to get a lot of control time, and isn't super, focused on getting damage off, which can be a problem for him. And then on the Zaynukov side, pretty good striker. He works the jab, got good combos, leg kicks. He counters well. He's very accurate. He's got some decent takedowns of his own, decent grappling, and some decent takedown defense as well. I like Zaynukov in this one. I think he gets it done by decision or potentially a later finish. Yeah, I think Schulte is really only going to have one path to win using his wrestling and looking to win minutes, whether that's on the mat or cage pushing or potentially getting a sub. And I just don't think that's going to be an easy task for him here by any means. I think Zaynukov will be able to shut down the grappling and pick Schulte apart on the feet. I don't think it's going to be relatively close in the striking. And yeah, after Schulte, fails a few takedowns and Zaynukov's defending and he's eating leg kicks, eating combos, I don't think it's going to be a very fun fight for him. So I think Zaynukov, and I'm, pretty confident in this one. I think he gets it done at a pretty high clip. Next up, we have Dakota Bush versus Marquez Forrest. Bush minus 190 and Forrest plus 165. Bush is a decent striker, primarily a grappler. He'll throw some leg kicks, not the most comfortable on the feet. He's mainly striking to set up his takedowns. He does have decent takedowns and a variety of them. He's opportunistic with the back takes and he attacks submissions. Yeah, typically likes to get his opponent's back and then either, win minutes from that position or try to get you out of there with a rear naked choke. And then on the Forrest side, he's a pretty good striker. He does pressure, tends to be a bit low volume though. Sometimes he'll have his opponent, backed up against the cage behind the black line, and he just doesn't really throw a whole lot. So I'd like to see him throw more. He does throw leg kicks, boxing combos. He mixes up his targets. He's quite athletic and explosive. He's got a pretty good sprawl and decent takedown defense. He counters and he's pretty physical. And he also likes the cage push. Um, I'm going to take Bush by decision in this one. I think it can be fairly competitive if Forrest is able to, slow down or stop the grappling attack. I think Forrest is the better striker in this one. And I do, though, think that Bush will be able to get to his grappling positions at some point. And, if Forrest is able to keep this on the feet, he could end up, even scoring a knockout in this one, too. Again, if he throws, that's kind of the problem with this guy. He just doesn't really seem to throw a whole lot. I think the over 1.5 when that comes out could be worth a look. With the grappling attack, I think that could burn minutes off the clock, and that could lead to this fight going over. Actually, I'm just saying now on Bet Online, the over 1.5 is out, minus 130. I think that would be a solid look in this fight. So that would be my angle on this fight. We'll keep moving. Next up, we have Movsar Ibragimov versus Javid Basharat. Ibragimov is at plus 192 and Basharat is at minus 230. Ibragimov, he's a decent striker. He is willing to back up. Leg kicks, boxing combos he'll throw. Not the most defensively sound, mainly striking to set up his takedowns. He's got some decent takedowns and a variety of them. Pretty good grappling, and he's got a pretty good submission game as well. And then on the Basharat side, he's a pretty good striker, variety of kicks, good footwork, pretty good leg kicks, some basic combos, feints he uses well. He counters pretty good. He's got decent takedowns. He does tend to fight on thin margins, though, which I don't like, and sometimes tends to fight up or down to his level of competition. He got some decent grappling and some pretty decent ground and pound as well. This one, I'm going to think that Basharat gets one done by decision. I just think he's going to be the cleaner striker and stay out of grappling trouble. But Basharat is very hard to trust, though. And at this line, I'm probably going to stay away from this one. I think the over 1.5 in this one could also be worth a look. Potentially as a parlay piece, I'm seeing that around minus 210. But Basharat is hard to trust at the best of times, so I'm probably going to stay away from this one. We will keep moving. Next up, we have Magomedov versus Daniel Marcos. Magomedov is coming in at plus 145 and Marcos at minus 165. On the Marcos side, pretty good striker, leg kicks, boxing combos. He's got decent takedowns. He's opportunistic with the back takes, and he's got some decent grappling. On the Magomedov side, he's also a pretty good striker, a little bit of a different style of striker, though. He's got a variety of kicks, dynamic attack. He's got a variety of takedowns, pretty good top control, good grappling, solid clinch knees, pretty good ground and pound. He's a back taker, and he's got some decent takedown defense. And it's like, Marcos is more that traditional sort of MMA style. Like, he wants to box, throw some leg kicks, kind of just a more common striking approach, I would say. And then on the Magomedov side, like, he doesn't really like to throw his hands too much. He more so wants to kick, throw spinning kicks, leg kicks, elbows, that kind of thing. More so of a, unique style of striking. I'm going to lean towards Marcos in this one. Magomedov, as I mentioned, does have the good kicks, but I just think Marcos is going to be more well-rounded and have a boxing edge. Magomedov may look to wrestle here. I don't think that's, crazy to say. But I don't think it's going to be easy getting Marcos to the mat. And if he does get to the mat, I think Marcos can work his way back up to the feet. I think Marcos is going to be the better minute winner so long as he stays on the feet. And Magomedov likely needs a big moment and a finish to get his hand raised in this one. It seems like there's some money coming in on Magomedov. We'll see how far that goes. But if you can get Marcos around that minus 150 range, I think that would be a solid look. We will keep moving. Next up, we have Marcirley Alves versus Nkosi Ndebele. Note that Nkosi is taking this fight on short notice. Marcirley Alves coming in at minus 190 and Ndebele at plus 165. On the Alves side, he's a pretty good striker, likes to, move forward with the power shots, throw 2, 3, 4 hooks in a row. Yeah, throws those combos, leg kicks. He is pretty flat-footed, and he does seem to have a decent gas tank. He also can struggle with the grappling. Not that I think that we're going to see a whole lot of grappling here. I think it's going to be quite the opposite. It's going to be a lot of striking, but that has been something that has given him trouble in the past. And then on the Ndebele side, he's a powerful striker and has good distance striking, has a variety of kicks, including leg kicks, high kicks, and teep kicks. Throws some good combos. He's very athletic and poised in the cage, and he does a good job of putting his punches and kicks together, and he is quite high volume. I think this is going to be a close fight, but I'm going to lean towards the dog in this one. I think Ndebele can get this one done by decision. He's a good striker, and he's going to have a 9-inch reach advantage here, which I think could be key. It's going to be tough for Alves to close the distance and stay safe doing so and land his attacks in the pocket like he likes to throw. I think Ndebele will be able to stay at range and slam some kicks in there. Ndebele is taking this on short notice, as I mentioned, but I think he has the tools to get this one done. I think it could play out relatively close and end up going to a decision, but I think there's some value on Ndebele in this one. Note that Alves also missed weight by about a pound. We'll keep moving. Next up, we have Luke Trainer versus Roland Dunlap. We have Trainer at -350 and Dunlap at +280. On the Trainer side, he's a decent striker, got some good boxing combos. He works the jab. He is mainly striking to set up his takedowns. Very big for the weight class. He likes the cage push. Got some good grappling, good back takes. He's got pretty good ground and pound, and he's got some slick submissions. On the Dunlap side, he's a decent striker. He's got a variety of kicks, kind of that karate style, some dynamic attacks. He puts his punches and kicks together. Wrestling background, decent takedowns, good top control and ground and pound, pretty good grappling, and he also likes the cage push. This is an interesting fight. I'm going to lean towards Trainer getting this one done by sub. I think he's going to want to get this fight to the mat and implement his grappling game. I think Dunlap does have more tools on the feet and could be a little bit tricky here for Trainer with that, kick-heavy karate style. Dunlap definitely does have a path to win in this one, and he could be a live dog. Dunlap has been pretty inactive, though, and hasn't fought the same competition, so I got to lean with Trainer to end up getting this one done. Not sure if I play this one, as I mentioned, just because I said, Dunlap can be a live dog, and I think it's going to be an interesting test for Trainer, but I do think Trainer will end up getting it done. Next up, we have Taila Santos versus Sabrinna de Sousa. Santos is coming in at -160 and Sabrinna de Sousa at +140. On the Santos side, she's a pretty good striker, variety of kicks, pretty good combos, fast hands, uses knees well. She's got pretty good takedown defense, decent takedowns of her own, opportunistic back takes, high-level experience. She likes the cage push, and she's got some pretty good grappling. On the de Sousa side, also a pretty good striker, basic combos, some fast hands. She throws volume, much prefers to be the hammer, doesn't like to back up as much, and she doesn't really tend to kick a whole lot. It's mainly a boxing-focused attack. She's willing to trade in the pocket. She's got some okay takedown defense, decent takedowns of her own, and she's got some pretty good grappling. I'm going to lean towards Santos getting this one done by decision. Santos has looked good in her last fight and has some high-level opponents and wins on her resume. She had also beaten Liz Carmouche in the PFL not too long ago. And I think she's going to be able to pressure de Sousa in this one, keeping her on the back foot and landing her kicks, knees, and long straights. I think Sousa will have a hard time getting this fight to the mat, and likely this one is a striking affair. And Santos has the more tools in her bag. The 6-inch reach advantage for Santos will play a big role in this fight. And if she's able to keep that distance, it's going to go well for her. It could be tough for de Sousa to get into range and, fight at the range that she likes to fight at. Sousa is quite durable, though, and could eat some shots to land some of her, big shots. Santos, like I mentioned, was a UFC veteran, has a lot of high-level competition on her resume. But, Sousa does throw a lot of heat on the feet, and I think that this fight likely plays out close. I think there's going to be a lot of strikes thrown and landed on both sides. And in Sousa's last fight, she was primarily on the back foot against Cheyenne Bowers and won a split decision. That fight was very close and probably could have gone either way. I do think Sousa, can be a live dog in this one if she can, be able to land her counter shots and land her boxing attack, getting in the pocket. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards Santos getting this one done, but wouldn't be mad at anybody taking a dog shot on Sousa here, as I likely think it plays out as a 29-28 decision. Next up in the co-main event, we have Godzi Rabadanov versus Tracy Reeder. We have Rabadanov at minus 3,700 and Reeder at plus 1,400. On the Rabadanov side, he's a pretty good striker, combos, he's accurate, he's got some pretty good power, he's fast, he's got pretty good grappling and top control. On the Reeder side, he's a decent striker, pretty limited on the feet, not the most defensively sound, mainly striking to set up his takedowns. He's a back taker, decent takedowns, and he's got pretty good grappling and a rear naked choke. The odds speak volumes in this one. I think Rabadanov, it's around 1 KO here. I think he should make this one look relatively easy. He won't really have to worry too much about what's coming back his way, and he should be able to pour it on the feet and get him out of there in round 1. Now we will move on to the main event. Note that this is a catchweight bout as Vieira missed weight by just over 7 pounds. The fight's still going on, but it is now a catchweight championship bout, 5-round fight. So on the Cyborg side, good striker, pressure, boxing combos, mixes up her strikes and targets, variety of kicks. She's got good power, pretty good takedown defense, can get stuck on bottom position. She likes the cage push. She's good in the clinch with the knees, opportunistic back takes, and she's got pretty good grappling. On the Vieira side, decent striker, decent power, some boxing combos, not the best striking defense. She's got decent takedowns, pretty good grappling, good top control, variety of takedowns, and good takedown defense. I got to take Cyborg in this one by knockout. I think Cyborg is going to be too powerful and physical for Vieira. Cyborg will have a noticeable edge in the striking and more tools, and Vieira's only path is likely going to be to cage push and get her grappling going. I do think Cyborg will be able to stop the takedowns and make this a striking fight where she can pour it on. I just think her athleticism and physicality is going to be very tough for Vieira to implement her grappling game. I think Vieira is going to fade as the fight goes on, and she won't be able to keep that grappling pace and attack for 5 rounds. And as I mentioned, with Vieira missing weight by 7 pounds, that's a major red flag. Who knows? Maybe she's injured. Maybe she's sick. Again, just speculating at this point, but that's not something that I like. And that gives me more confidence on the Cyborg side. So that is the main event. So we will move on to our next segment, the fighter to watch and the fight to watch. For my fighter to watch, I'm going to go with Daniel Marcos in this one. 18-1, beat some quality opponents in the UFC. This is a pretty good, matchup for him. I think he's going to be able to have success on the feet, land, good punches, kicks, and I think he's going to show out in this one. Whether he ends up getting a finish or it goes to decision, I think he's going to look sharp in this one and come out on top. And my fight to watch is going to be Taila Santos versus Sabrinna de Sousa. This is a big step up in competition for de Sousa, and she had a lot of hype on her as a prospect. I think it's going to be entertaining. I think it's going to be close. I think there's going to be a lot of strikes thrown and landed. And I think it's going to end up coming down to a 29-28 decision. It's going to come down to who is landing the more damaging shots on the feet. And I think this is going to be one of the more closely contested fights on this card. So that does it for PFL Tampa. Note that we will have 5 MMA bets in just 10 minutes coming out later on today. We will cover 5 bets for UFC and potentially some for PFL also. So be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe so you don't miss anything. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll catch you guys in the next one.